Starseek Conqueror, 10,000 times rewards, frigate destroys stars. Episode 51, the Korean Universe Consortium, the Mibac Lighthouse Consortium. The two complexes added together to discharge more than 120,000 warships. In less than 2 minutes, it was all gone. 10 times the speed of light curvature engine missile, destroy 14,500 warships of the Korean Cosmic Complex, flight time 6 seconds, annihilation time 10 seconds. Destroy the 110,000 warships of the American Lighthouse Complex and consume 310 times the curvature engine missiles of the speed of light. Flight time 16 seconds, annihilation time 20 seconds. Meanwhile, Qin Sheng, who was still in the Shepherd's constellation galaxy, received a notification from the system. You destroy the battlecruiser of Trojan, the Great Korean Cosmic Union, and the Great Cosmic Han and gain a technical value of 120. You destroy the Trojan, the Korean Cosmic Consortium, the cruiser of Bubble Pickles, and get a technical value, 80. You destroy the Trojan, the American Lighthouse Complex, Gabriel's battlecruiser, and get a technical point, 120. You destroyed. A continuous system prompt sounded in Qin Sheng's ears. For a moment, Qin Sheng's brain melon seeds buzzed. He had to skip all the prompts and go straight to the results. Ding dong, you've got technical points, 1,318,000. Ding dong, you got the technical value, 192,000. 100 times increase, ding dong, you've got technical points, 13.8 million. Ding dong, you got the technical value, 192 million. Total technical value obtained, 205.8 million. Ding dong, because the other side's civilization level is much lower than yours, and there is no technology you don't have, so you can't harvest new technology from this battle. This time the harvest is not small, more than 200 million technical values. There is no harvest of new technologies. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly, this doesn't matter. Anyway, he was ready to go to the Judgment Holy See and use the Chaos Destruction voucher to redeem the new technology. Qin Sheng estimated that his current Chaos Destruction credentials were enough for him to upgrade to a second-level civilization. Even a third-level civilization is not impossible. Qin Sheng's side didn't pay any attention to it at all. But all the players in the galaxy were silent. There is a silence in the chat screen. They still can't believe what they're seeing. Even most of the players are still in a state of confusion. It was so fast. The Emperor's battleship had just appeared in less than a few minutes. The hundreds of thousands of warships of the Korean Union and the American Union were all destroyed. James, who remained in the 6th-level city, could not contact Gabriel. Just now, the communication was suddenly interrupted. Then I understood what was happening from the Galactic chat public screen. James's shocked mood could not be calmed for a long time. Then, endless fear welled up in his heart. The gap between the two sides, there is so big. The Pope of the Emperor Divine Sect, Zhenchong Tian, immediately understood what had happened. The first one stood out. Shock skyrocketing, ha 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 ha. You see that? I said that the Emperor is invincible, and it is also these turkey-tailed dogs that can provoke. The huge gap between science and technology cannot be made up just by relying on the number of warships. This is the end of provoking the Emperor. Just after Zhen Tian finished speaking, the tens of billions of players in the galaxy looked at the chat screen. The shock in my heart could not be calmed for a long time. Just now, that was the attack launched by the Emperor's battleship? To what extent has the Emperor and the Great Gangster developed? What kind of attack was just now? Could it be that the Emperor has developed to more than a third-level civilization? At this time, players in the galaxy began to analyze the previous image data. Tenfold warp engine missiles are optically detectable. Over and over again, they slowed down the scene before the destruction of the Korean combined fleet. Slow down 10,000 times. 100,000 times. 1,000,000 times. 10 million times. Eventually, they finally saw that light. Even under the slow release of 10 million times, it is still an incomparably fast light. That's the glow of the curvature engine. The players calculated the speed of curvature through the calculations of their scientists. But when they see the data, all of them trembled in unison. 10 times. 10 times the speed of light. Curvature engine missiles up to 10 times the speed of light. Such a terrifying, powerful speed brings the deepest fear to all players. To this day, the general speed of players' warships does not exceed 20% of the speed of light. True curvature engine. They will not have it until they have it when they have upgraded to become a true first-level civilization. And the current Emperor? The engine that is mounted on the missile alone is an engine with curvature up to 10 times the speed of light. That. What kind of terrifying existence is the engine that the Emperor has installed on the battleship? A migration engine that can easily cross a distance of more than 160 light-years. And how high technical power is required? How many technical values do you need? Players don't know. But in their hearts, the already tall Emperor was once again put higher by them. This moment. No one bothered Qin Sheng. All the players did not dare to send any more messages to Qin Sheng and send private messages. So they began to send messages to Jinchong Tian. At Jinchong Tian, brother, your Emperor Divine Sect, do you still want people? At Jinchong Tian, brother, 97 of us, can we join your consortium? At Trek, bro. I want to join the Emperor cult. For a moment, the shock in the shepherd's seat looked at his 999 plus, still growing private messages, and began to laugh wildly. He's up. Emperor bless, Emperor bless. But then he understood that he could not be proud, and that all this was brought to him by the Emperor. He must always maintain devotion to the Emperor. But, although he understood this, the corners of his mouth still couldn't help but start laughing and twitching. Up to now, there were no less than 120 alliances that wanted to join the Imperial Divine Sect Consortium. If all of them are absorbed, the comprehensive strength can immediately rank second. Under the Emperor at the top of the list. At this time, in the Galaxy Chat public screen, a message has attracted the attention of countless players. The Emperor's warship has moved. The curvature engine is activated. Sleeper. Gone. It's gone. Where to go? Where did this battleship of the Emperor go? Episode 52, Mibac Lighthouse Consortium, Level 6 Space City. Only tens of thousands of warships responsible for defending the city remained silently suspended in space. James, who was responsible for staying in Space City and thus escaping the disaster, sat paralyzed in front of the Space City headquarters, the huge floor-to-ceiling window. He stared blankly at the outer space of the universe. The silver-white battleships hovering in the harbor. ST-59 class defensive battlecruiser. IO class plasma cruiser. Chimera class heavy cruiser. The length is more than 1 kilometer. Large warships were docked in the harbor. These battleships are their painstaking efforts. For a long time, the three leading alliances of the American Lighthouse Consortium. The Holy Angel Alliance, the Galactic Lighthouse Alliance, the K Alliance, how much effort the three allies have put into finding relics in the galaxy in the past year, or consuming a lot of resources within the alliance. Go and trade with the forces of local civilization. A year's hard work has been exchanged for the blueprints of these battleships. Blueprints are then distributed to all the members of the alliance for their common use. Enhance overall strength. And now, this year's hard work has been wasted. 2 minutes. Ha 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 ha. James slumped to the ground, his right hand caressing his forehead, covering his eyes, and a bitter smile coming out of the corner of his mouth. A year's hard work, less than 2 minutes, was wiped out by several missiles of the Emperor. Laughing and laughing, James crossed 2 lines of clear tears under his face. He clenched his teeth, lowered his arms, and clenched his fists. It doesn't matter, Gabriel, Shan Kai, are all dead. But there's still him. He can make a comeback. All along, he was the brainstorm of the three. Although Gabriel and Shan Kai were both obstinate people, they had hardly heard of his persuasion and planning. But he still plays an incomparably important role in the day-to-day administration. And now, without the balance between Gabriel and Shan Kai, he can make the Midland even stronger. He firmly believes. The people of the American Union are not dead. There's still a lot left. Just when James made up his mind, suddenly he saw, outside the huge floor-to-ceiling window, in the spaceport. Several silver-white IO-class plasma cruisers started their engines. Blue flames emanated from the bottom of the battleship, allowing the battleship to quickly take off. Subsequently, the battleship's tail engine was activated. Several battleships quickly left the spaceport and left the space city. What? James was slightly stunned. Immediately after, he received a private message from an allied player. Lord, I'm sorry, we're leaving. I'm sorry, Lord, we're leaving. Sorry, Lord, the Pope of the Emperor Divine Sect, Jinchong Tian said that there is no class of religion, as long as we are willing to leave, the Emperor will not care about the previous suspicions. So. Sorry, allies. For a moment, the hundreds of Lighthouse players who were still alive in the consortium all sent him a farewell message. In just a few moments, tens of thousands of warships in the space city basically all started their engines. Left the city. James was completely stunned. After he reacted, he roared angrily, Emperor. Earthquake. The Emperor God sect, the Pope singed with great joy and began to send them private messages one by one according to the list of American League players. Brother, in? I am the Pope of the Emperor God sect, shaking the heavens. The Emperor is a great being, he is a broad-minded being. As long as you are willing to abandon the dark and cast the light, the Emperor will not care about the previous suspicions. We are all human beings and should unite in this galaxy. Believe in the Emperor and you will be saved in your heart. Faith in the Emperor. Brother, what does the Emperor Divine Sect know? Ding dong, you received 0.01 faith power. Your psychic level is plus 0.01 XP. Ding dong, you received 0.01 faith power. Your psychic level is plus 0.01 XP. 100 times increase, your psychic level experience points have exceeded 1,000. Psychic level up to level 2. Your psychic experience has exceeded 10,000. Psychic level up to 3. Third level psychic energy? Qin Sheng was slightly stunned. What happened? How could his psychic level be inexplicably 3? Third level psychic energy. The psionic energy level has reached the third level, and you have initially mastered the use of spiritual energy. You can use the spirit energy out of thin air, or you can release the spirit energy and turn it into a sword through a super steel 100 mm thick. Spiritual energy will also constantly strengthen your body. Your physical fitness has been strengthened by psychic energy, which is already 10 times that of the previous one. Take a long exhale. Qin Sheng could feel that his body was filled with warm spiritual energy. Close your eyes slightly. Qin Sheng was the discovery. His mind had entered another space. This space is full of chaos and the unknown. Around, countless strange and inexplicable black shadows wandered and levitated. Qin Sheng immediately realized where his consciousness had come. Subspace. It is the habitat of countless chaos demons. It is also the place where the 4 great chaos evil gods are located. Endless subspace, deep. 4 inexplicable beings opened their eyes at the same time. A pair of eyes scarlet, pure tyranny. A pair of eyes that are kind, but full of filth. A pair of eyes of wisdom, but also treacherous and cunning. A pair of eyes are painful, but full of desire. Fear of abuse. Dirt. Treacherous. Sex abuse. They all looked in a certain direction. In this unknown land, in the midst of chaos, the spiritual projection, which represents Qin Sheng, appears here. It was a round of light that was not large, but it was cold, burning with white flames. It looks like the sun. This icy little sun shone on the unknown chaos around it. Countless subspace demons swam towards him. Each of these endless subspace demons was innumerable times stronger than the bloodthirsty demons that Qin Sheng had killed before. They tried to contaminate it. But none of them could get close. Instead, they were all full of fear, screaming in horror and fleeing. Emperor Aura. Immune to subspace pollution. Episode 53. After Qin Sheng's spiritual energy level reached the third level, his projection appears in subspace. This is something that every psychic goes through. As long as their psionic energy level is above 3 levels, then their projection will appear in subspace. This is also the reason why the stronger the psionic energy level, the easier it will be to be contaminated by subspace demons. The stronger your psionic level, the greater the projection of chaos in subspace. The more it will attract the attention of the subspace demons. But Qin Sheng didn't care. He possesses the aura of an emperor, is immune to the contamination of subspace demons, and is able to protect his subordinates from being polluted. And now, Qin Sheng was curious. How many people have faithfully believed in him? Otherwise, how could they suddenly receive so much power of faith? Therefore, Qin Sheng found Jin Tian. Emperor, how many people have you absorbed into the Emperor Divine Sect? The quiver that was whistling and continuing to pull people in was shaking. The Emperor has sent him a message. Endless reverence instantly welled up in his heart. Respectfully replied, Honorable Emperor, your humble servant has already developed and strengthened the Divine Sect a bit at this moment. Now a total of 216 leagues have joined the cult. Among them, Dragon Nation players and Lighthouse players, Europa players account for the vast majority. Lighthouse players, Europa players should be the most devout to you. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly. Sure enough, it wasn't that dragon players didn't revere him. On the contrary, in terms of believing in gods, the people of the Dragon Kingdom are very casual. And the Lighthouse Nation, the Europa people at the time of the Earth Age. There are many people who have brainwashed their faith in Jesus Christ. Now, the power of this part of the faith has been transferred to him. However, only the most devout faith power would be blessed on Qin Sheng. Coupled with a 100-fold increase, one leap raised his spiritual energy level to 3 levels. That is, I robbed Jesus of his business? Qin Sheng was slightly playful. If Jesus really existed, I'm afraid it would be time to look to him now. After all, there is so much less power of faith for no reason. But that's fine too. Qin Sheng was also not prepared to meddle in the usual affairs of the Emperor Divine Sect. After all, he didn't have the energy to manage such a consortium with more than tens of thousands of players. Usually, managing those tactical humanoid girls who jumped out made Qin Sheng very tired. And now, Galaxy players are on the leaderboards. The Imperial Divine Sect Consortium joined a huge number of alliances. Jumped to become the second largest force among players. Only under Qin Sheng. And the Milakina Lighthouse Consortium over there. Ordinary player Qin Sheng was not prepared to think about it. But the head must be destroyed. After all, if weeding is not removed, there will be trouble. Although Qin Sheng didn't think that this aftermath could pose much of a threat to him. But cutting the grass and removing the roots was Qin Sheng's code of conduct. Tremus Galaxy. Level 6 Space City. James looked at players and allies who had broken away from the Union one after another. My heart was filled with despair. There is no one left. The massive Milakina Lighthouse Consortium was gone. Except for him. If I had high enough technology. If I had knowledge of a higher civilization level. In the midst of the pain, James kept moaning. The huge technological generation gap between him and the Emperor made their hundreds of thousands of warships wiped out by the Emperor's warships. At this moment, James was incomparably eager to obtain a higher level of technology and knowledge of a higher civilization. His expression gradually twisted, in this state. Almost crazy. There was a buzz in his ear, an inexplicable whisper. This whisper came suddenly, and I don't know where it came from. Let his heart sink, can't help it, and listen carefully. Just as James's mind sank and he kept listening, his body changed. The originally pure human body began to twist, and the hands turned into sharp claws. The skin behind it is broken by the bulging meat packet. It continues to grow, forming a pair of fleshy wings. Sharp horns also grow on the forehead. Subspace evil god, treacherous. The treacherous will constantly seduce those who are eager to pursue knowledge. At this moment, James just fell into such a crazy state. He was reduced to the god of chaos, the god of knowledge, the messenger of hope, the weaver of destiny, the counselor of deception, the supreme eagle, the lord of the devious ways, the believer in treachery. The next moment. All these changes in his body were gone. The twisted limbs are retransformed into normal human form. James's face was filled with ecstasy, an eerie smile. Ha 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 ha. Emperor. You wait for my revenge. James looked up and laughed. In another instant, James's previously distorted look became normal again. Even the whole person became humbled. He began to send messages to Qin Sheng. Prepare to numb Qin Sheng with the most sincere apology. The next moment, however. Outside the space city, a streamer of curvature bubbles came instantly from the distant deep space. The curvature bubble disappears. The huge Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser appeared in space. Bridge. Ella looked tens of thousands of kilometers away. It was a huge city, enough to inhabit tens of millions of people, and the delicate and beautiful face revealed a sunny smile. The Emperor taught me that cutting grass should be rooted. A hydrogen bomb mounted on a tenfold curvature engine with a warhead of 100 billion tons of equivalent TNT broke away from the missile silo. A flash of light. Then it disappeared. Less than a second later. A huge, incomparably dazzling ball of fire with a core temperature of more than hundreds of millions of degrees appeared. Instantly devoured the entire space city. Ding dong, you have successfully destroyed the Chaos Believers, and the evil god Treacherous Qi is preparing the divine election, James. Get the Chaos Destruction Voucher X100000. 100 times increase, get 10 million Chaos Destruction Vouchers. Huh? Qin Sheng was stunned again. What's going on this time? How could somehow a chaotic traitor come up ready divine selection? Episode 54. Now chaos destroys the reserves, 2,366,000. Existing technical value, 216.8 million. Almost. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly. Although the existing reserves of the protective chaos destruction voucher still did not meet his expectations. However, there are not many. These chaos destruction credentials were enough for him to redeem a full set of second-level civilization technology in the Judgment Holy See. You can also save quite a few to redeem for some special things. More than enough. Here Qin Sheng was basically ready. It's time to leave the Shepherd's Galaxy and travel to the wider space of the universe. After all, in the Shepherd's Galaxy, after the player, Qin Sheng could already say that he was invincible. It is based on the technology of a tenfold warp engine missile at the speed of light. Qin Sheng was enough to dominate among the first and second level civilizations. Even some ordinary third level civilizations had to temporarily avoid Qin Sheng's sharp edge. If Qin Sheng wanted to go further, he had to look for a higher level opponent. Ordinary players and Qin Sheng were no longer in the same realm. I waited another 10 days. The Shepherd's Galaxy, closest to the planet Morandez, is about 5 million kilometers away. The transition passage with a flashing blue glow opened. The huge figure of a Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser slowly opened out. In the middle of the bridge, Ella crossed her hands and exhaled a long breath. Finally back. I haven't seen the Emperor in 20 days, so I miss him. A mechanical heart in Ella's chest provoked a slight acceleration. As the saying goes, Xiao Beixing is newly married. Ella longed to be by Qin Sheng's side every day. Not separated for a moment. Under Ella's orders, the battleship activated the curvature engine. It didn't take long, and soon arrived on the planet Morandez. The slow breakthrough of the battleship seemed to be wrapped in a thick layer of ash, basically dark atmosphere. Constantly sinking, the gray atmospheric air currents wrapped around the huge battleship 4.7 kilometers long, flowing upwards. Battleship landing. Huge hatches open. Ella led part of the battle humanoid down. Welcome back, Ella. Unfortunately, we couldn't stay any longer, and we got out right away. Qin Sheng stood with his hands in his hands, looking at Ella, who immediately wanted to pounce on him, but suddenly remembered something, and stopped moving to become restrained. Just now, Ella wanted to pounce directly on Qin Sheng's body, but she suddenly remembered that she was wearing armor and adding her mechanical weight. With a weight of more than 2 tons, Qin Sheng still couldn't stand it. It is to stop the action. And Qin Sheng saw Ella's worries, and he smiled slightly and waved his hand. The white light of the palm flickered out. Not far away, a weapon chest weighing a ton floated out of thin air. It doesn't matter, I have awakened my spiritual energy now, and my body has been strengthened to withstand your weight. Listening to Qin Sheng's words, Ella's azure eyes gradually lit up. That is to say, you can change more postures in the future, rather than just one posture? Behind them, all the tactical humanoid maidens laughed softly, and there was a sound of warblers and swallows. Cough cough. With a cold light cough, Andilia walked over to Qin Sheng's side and looked at Ella. In public, pay attention to words and deeds. Che, my private words to His Majesty the Emperor, what do you listen to? When Ella saw Andilia, she wrapped her hands around her chest and twisted her small face to the side. What are you talking about? What fun things to do? Long Mo walked over with a group of ether dragon maidens, with a curious face. Next to him was Hetty and a group of Saint Heli's elite maiden warriors. Okay, that's it. Qin Sheng's old face turned red, and then he shouted, Neil, are you all ready? A virtual screen of light unfolds. His flax-colored hair was combed into a pair of braids, and Neil, whose bangs slightly obscured his eyes, appeared on the light screen. Your Majesty the Emperor, you are ready to board the ship at any time. Well, now that Ella's back, all right, all ready to board the ship. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly and gave the order. Yes. The girls all stood up straight and saluted. The Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser that has just returned to the team slowly lifted off. Adjust the direction in the air and turn sideways over the hull. Next to it, on top of a huge building that is 3,000 meters tall and 16,000 meters long, a portal 4,800 meters long, which can accommodate the length of the Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser, is opened. The portal made of the huge red dragon scale armor plate emits an azure glow. The long, narrow, giant battleship entered as if it were a tailor-made position. Densely packed, all kinds of maintenance, repair machinery, small maintenance drones flying. Immediately enveloped this large battleship of 4,700 meters in length. This is the last battleship. The viewing angle is pulled up. Shaded by the sun, sunlight is impenetrable, beneath the gray atmosphere filled with hundreds of billions of tons of sulfide. There is a dead and silent world full of solidified magma. Originally, Qin Sheng's base was spread out, densely packed, and the large factory buildings everywhere had disappeared at this moment. Huge pits after mined pits were revealed. And it's hundreds of kilometers away. Above a huge, deliberately cleared patch of ground. It is a huge building of 20 defensive battlecruisers that can easily accommodate the 4,700-meter-long Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser. Look more closely where these are buildings. It was clear that there were 20 gigantic battleships. 10 of them are slightly larger. Each one is 16 kilometers long, 6 kilometers wide, and 3 kilometers high. The whole takes on a flat shape. These are 10 Hengel-Zu-class aircraft carriers. Among these 10 aircraft carriers, all the warships that Qin Sheng now had were accommodated. 20 Hanwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruisers. 100 Hanwang-class universal cruisers. 100 Qin Wang-class storm cruisers. 900 Wuanjuan-class pulse heavy gun frigates. A total of 1,120 ships. Add these 10 Hengel-Zu-class aircraft carriers, that is, 1,130 battleships. It was Qin Sheng's current family foundation. In addition to the Hangzhou-class aircraft carrier, there are 10 giant warships about 10 kilometers long, 3 kilometers wide, and 4 kilometers high. These giant battleships have no combat capabilities. Just as a transport supply ship. Each large integrated supply ship carries billions of tons of resources of various types. 10 ships combined, there are tens of billions of tons. In this way, after Qin Sheng left, if he needed a long voyage, then there would be no shortage of resources in a short time. And Qin Sheng couldn't help but sigh. Even a giant transport warship 10 kilometers long can only carry less than billions of tons of supplies at a time. Too few. Qin Sheng sighed. If only he could have a full planet as a battlestar. In that case, no matter where you go, you don't have to carry a battleship that transports supplies. After all, the Star Battlestar is a real planet modified. A fleet of 20 giant ships, the smallest of 10 kilometers in length, slowly lifted off. When the engine of such a giant battleship is started, the energy consumed is huge. The movement is also huge. Giant battleships began to break through the atmosphere. For a time, within a radius of thousands of kilometers, the thick gray atmosphere was stirred by the ineffable push flow ejected from the bottom of the giant fleet. It seemed that a tornado storm that swept thousands of kilometers around was about to form. The fleet successfully lifted off. The curvature engine starts. First, it traveled near the stars inside the galaxy. Immediately after that, the jump engine starts. Qin Sheng personally entered the coordinate location. The target, 560 light-years away, is the hub galaxy of the Mibac Civilization's trading hub. The Mibac Civilization Trading Hub Galaxy. It is a civilization founded by the 6th-level Mibac civilization. The surrounding civilizations spontaneously gathered to form a hub galaxy. There are all kinds of non-player civilization forces of all classes and levels. It is also relatively safe. And the Holy See of Judgment here, too, has their Chaos Destruction Voucher Exchange House. Qin Sheng's goal was there. Episode 55, Above the Stars. In the void of space, the Azure portal opened. The fleet's jump engines trigger the star's own enormous gravitational pull. As a result, the cosmic strings that connect all the stars in the universe, like the neural veins of the universe itself, are touched. The passage opened slowly. The Great Qin Empire fleet began to gradually enter the passage. A transition channel through cosmic strings. Qin Sheng quickly locked in the distance of the target's stellar coordinate system, 560 light-years away. According to the speed of Qin Sheng's existing jump engine, it needed to travel in the cosmic string channel for 35 days. More than a month. Time was very fast if Qin Sheng didn't have a jump engine. Sail at a speed of curvature that is only 10 times the speed of light. Then it will take 56 years to reach the target planetary system. After 35 days, we will be able to see other civilizations. Qin Sheng was a little excited in his heart. Although Qin Sheng in his previous life had also seen many non-player civilization forces. But most of those forces are high civilizations. Higher civilizations are usually disdainful of communicating with lower civilizations. Unless this lower civilization has something special to offer. Therefore, Qin Sheng in his previous life also had no opportunity to communicate with higher civilizations. However, Qin Sheng was different now. He had a large number of chaos destruction credentials in his hand. From this point of view alone, he will receive great favors in judging the Holy See. Cosmic String Channel. It's a void, empty passage. It's like another layer of space in the universe. In the first few days, in this cosmic string channel, only the fleet of the Great Qin Empire was sailing. But when Qin Sheng sailed to the 10th day, a number of situations have emerged. Qin Sheng was resting in his room when suddenly he received a message from Avrila. Emperor, we have another fleet in front of us. Another fleet? Qin Sheng pondered slightly. Don't worry about them. In the cosmic string space passage, encountering another civilization's fleet is not a rare thing. Not to mention that Qin Sheng's goal was a hub galaxy of the Mibac civilization with a lot of civilization flow. On the way to the goal, encountering the fleets of other civilizations is even more worthless. However, Qin Sheng wanted to skip the other side. The unknown fleet took the initiative to send a message to Qin Sheng's fleet. It was a message of help. The other party also took the initiative to send Qin Sheng their civilized language dictionary. For Qin Sheng's side, he could quickly decipher their language and communicate with them. Taking the initiative to send a dictionary of civilized languages is a sign of active overtures. In space, if a civilization wants to communicate with another strange civilization that meets, then they will take the initiative to send the language dictionary of their own civilization, so that the other party can quickly translate and communicate with themselves. But Qin Sheng frowned. Although in the whole universe, the laws of the Dark Forest do not apply much. However, between two strange civilizations that meet for the first time, there will still be a certain Dark Forest law. Because of the various races in the universe, there are all kinds of strange things, and moral concepts are not uniform. According to the standards of Earthlings, some space civilizations do not have the concept of morality at all. So whether they cheat or kill, they may even be perceived by themselves as a friendly gesture. Therefore, Qin Sheng in his previous life was very cautious when he met people of other civilizations. People of other civilizations, too, act cautiously. It will not be like this direct initiative to show goodwill. There must be something wrong with it. Qin Sheng pondered. By this time, Avrilia had deciphered the other person's language. With her computing power, it also took her a few seconds. Dear strange civilization. We are the Norton Bounty Hunter Organization, the third-class Civilization 021 Squadron. 120 years ago, we went 200 light-years away to carry out the mission of judging the Holy See. Perform the mission of destroying Chaos Believers that occupy DTZS-051141 Galaxy, a living planet. But after we completed our mission, we were ready to return to the Mibac Hub Galaxy through the transition channel. But suddenly encountered a subspace storm set off by a powerful bloodthirsty demon. That subspatial storm affected cosmic strings and damaged our fleet's string navigation system. We have lost our coordinates. We have been lost in this cosmic string passage for 120 years. If your civilization's fleet is ready to go to the Mibac Hub Galaxy, let's follow in the rear. When we reach the Mibac Hub Galaxy, we will pay your civilization 1,000 source crystals as a reward. Norton Bounty Hunters, Commander of Squadron 021-3, Norton Black. A fleet lost in the strings of the universe? Qin Sheng frowned slightly. This is not unusual. There are more than 250 billion stars in the entire Milky Way. How many stars are there in the entire universe? The number is also uncountable. Between each star, there are also dense cosmic strings connected. Such a dense network of cosmic strings must be huge and complex. If it is not strong enough, it can maintain the calculation power of accurate route at all times. It is necessary to rely on specialized navigation equipment to navigate in order not to get lost in this intricate cosmic string channel. If you encounter something unexpected that causes the navigation device to be damaged, oh well. That's the end of the CAF. The standard migration engine of the third-level civilization level can only be directional, that is, you only reach the target coordinates in order to open the transition channel again and come out of it. And there are also distance restrictions. At most, you can only move a distance of 200 light-years at a time. For example, when the fleet of an ordinary third-level civilization wants to travel to a planetary system 300 light-years away, it must choose a planetary system 200 light-years away from itself. Determine the coordinates to move near the planetary star 200 light-years away. After shortening the distance, make another transition. Qin Sheng's migration engine was systematically strengthened, and it was a very stable migration engine, and the last migration distance could reach 600 light-years. And once lost in the cosmic string channel, if you're lucky, it's been spinning in the cosmic string for hundreds of thousands of years. If you're unlucky, I died in the strings of the universe. In his previous life, Qin Sheng finally had a jump engine after he was promoted to a third-level civilization. Just in the cosmic string passage encountered the eternally lost, the entire fleet of people have all died in the battleship remnants inside. When it was also to let Qin Sheng pick up a wave of cheap, decipher a lot of useful techniques from it. And the Norton Bounty Hunters organization. Qin Sheng had also heard of it in his previous life, and it was a very active organization that specialized in receiving the Judgment sect to hunt down the Chaos forces. A bounty hunter organization led by a fourth-level civilization and joined by multiple third-level civilizations. Within the surrounding range of thousands of light-years, it is also a bit of strength and a good reputation. Wait, Norton Black? After Qin Sheng saw this name, he fell into thought. He seemed to have heard the name. But the impression is vague. Using psychic energy to search for one's own memory, Qin Sheng finally found the name in the depths of his memory. Norton Black, a famous third-level civilization bounty hunter in a previous life. But this famous man is called by other civilizations Unlucky and Lucky Man. Norton Black in his previous life was indeed trapped in the cosmic string passage, but he accidentally broke into an unstable space. The passage of time in that space is different from the real universe. After spending 2,500 years in an unstable space, he finally broke away from the cosmic string channel. Back to the real universe. He almost died in the cosmic string passage. But compared to those who were trapped in eternity, he is lucky. At least not all dead in the cosmic string channel. So he is called, that is, the unlucky and lucky man. And now, Qin Sheng didn't expect that he had actually met this person. Norton Black's fleet was a third-class civilization fleet with 1,100 warships. It is based on an ultra-small miniature battle star with a diameter of 30 kilometers as the core mothership. The rest of the battleships, large and small, more than 1,100 warships, all surrounded the spherical battleship with a diameter of 30 kilometers. After a little thought, Qin Sheng decided. Help the opposite. If nothing else, he offered the other party the reward of the 1,000 source crystals. Source crystal is a crystalline mineral that contains special energy. It is usually a high special energy source used by civilizations above the 6th level. It is a far more advanced energy source than the stars everywhere in the universe. Some special projects of 6th level civilizations will require a large amount of this special energy to support higher civilizations above level 6 to mine or acquire in the universe. Therefore, the source crystal has become a kind of hard currency in the universe. Can be used in lieu of currency. A standard source crystal is a sphere 10 centimeters in diameter. The energy contained inside was enough to supply Qin Sheng's Hangaozu-class aircraft carrier that was 16 kilometers long, 6 kilometers wide, and 3 kilometers high for more than a year. Qin Sheng quickly gave the other party a response. We are the fleet of the Great Qin Empire and are preparing to travel to the Mibac Hub galaxy. You can follow the rear of our fleet and follow us out of the cosmic string passage. Qin Sheng did not explain his civilization level to the other party, which was also a means of self-preservation. After the Norton III civilization squadron received the news, millions of people up and down the entire fleet cheered. They've been trapped in this goddamn cosmic string passage for a full 120 years. Now it's finally time to leave. They also immediately sent a message back to Qin Sheng, really thank you very much. Our fleet will follow behind your civilized fleet and sail at a steady pace. After arriving at the Mibac Hub galaxy, we will pay your civilization 1,000 standard source crystals as agreed. Norton III Civilization Squadron. 30 kilometers in diameter, ultra-small miniature battle star, in the central command room. A strange-looking creature with 4 stout elephant-like legs, 2 arms, a triangular head, and a body covered with third-level special alloy armor, sighed. What a good civilization. It is our good fortune to encounter this kind of talkative civilization in the galaxy now. He is Norton Black, the commander of the Balan's Elephant Civilization Fleet, part of the Norton Bounty Hunters, a third-level civilization. Adjutant, do you think this great Qin Empire opposite is a civilization of several levels? Norton Black turned his head and asked an aide-de-camp beside him. I can't see it, but if I can enter the transition channel, the minimum must be the level of a third-level civilization. But if it's a third-level civilization, why doesn't their fleet have a miniature battle star? The adjutant threw up the question. The ultra-small miniature battle star is a large mothership built by a third-level civilization that imitates the true planetary battle star of a fourth-level civilization. But because of the lack of technical power, it is impossible to build a real star battle star. So most third-level civilizations will build the ultra-small miniature battle star as the core mothership of a fleet. If you look at their fleet, they are all large ships with a length of more than 10 kilometers. And there are not many of them, only 20. Norton Black sighed and said his guess, so, I think they should be a squadron of some fourth-level civilization out on a mission, but the fourth-level civilizations all have real battle stars, right? The adjutant wondered. Have you forgotten that the gravitational pull of a real planetary battle star, due to its enormous mass, cannot pass through the cosmic string channel? If you want to let the star-ranked battle star pass through the cosmic string channel, you must use a large number of source crystals to create a gravitational shield. Norton Black made up a very reasonable reason directly on his own. Not only did he convince himself, but he also convinced the rest of the fleet. Therefore, Qin Sheng did not know that the Norton squadron opposite recognized him as the fleet of a certain fourth-level civilization. Qin Sheng was even sighing that the Norton third-level civilization squadron was indeed very obedient and said that it was obediently following behind the Great Qin Empire fleet, and it was really honest. The Great Qin Empire's 10 16-kilometer-long Hangaozu-class aircraft carriers and 10 10-kilometer-long giant transport supply ships sailed ahead. The ultra-small miniature battlestar and more than 1,000 warships of the Norton III Civilization Squadron followed the rear of the Great Qin Empire fleet. Originally, Qin Sheng could reach the Mibac Hub galaxy in only 35 days, but because he had to take the Norton third-level Civilization Squadron out, it was 10 days late to arrive. Mibac Hub galaxy. The core of the planetary system, where the star system is located. In space, a series of transition channels are constantly opening. Fleets of other civilizational forces kept coming in and leaving. Qin Sheng's fleet also finally broke away from the transition channel. Officially entered the Mibac Hub galaxy. The whole fleet had just moved over, and the first thing that was observed by the battleship's optical detection system was a huge star. This star is 10 times the mass of the Sun and 200 times the volume of the Sun. The light emitted by it, the average brightness, is 15,000 times that of the Sun. The star is named Yados. Yados is the name of a 4th-level civilization. Why is the most core star in the hub galaxy of the 6th-level Mibac civilization named after a 4th-level civilization? The reason was the scene that Qin Sheng saw at this moment. This huge star, which is 200 times the size of the Sun, is now covered with 70% of its light. The larger diameter of Yados is a larger black round shell, covering more than 70% of the star's area. This is a Dyson ball under construction. Thus the native civilization forces of the planetary system, the Dyson ball commissioned by the 4th-level civilization Yados civilization to the 6th-level civilization Mibac civilization. And this hub galaxy, it is precisely because of this is being built that the forest-carrying ball will gradually form a hub station. Qin Sheng was not here for the first time, he had also been here once in his previous life. When I came in my past life, this forest ball project was nearing its end. Therefore, Qin Sheng, who knew the rules, first sent the Chinese dictionary to the giant space station next to the star, which was 2 kilometers in diameter. Soon, Qin Sheng received a response. Episode 56, Impossible. Shocked, the Great Qin Empire is only a first-class civilization? This is the Yados galaxy, the Mibac Hub station. This ball is 2 million kilometers in diameter. Construction began 1,400 years ago. 70% of the work is now complete. It is expected that within 600 years, the whole project will be completed. At that time, the transition coordinates of this galaxy will be turned off. No record of your civilization has been detected. Please also report the name of your civilization and the level of civilization. We will register for your civilization. In the face of the hub station established by the 6th-level civilization, Qin Sheng could only honestly register and inform. Soon, the archives were established. At the hub station, Qin Sheng's fleet was tested on its own. There is no doubt about it either. After all, a 6th-level civilization, what big winds and waves have never been seen. Even Qin Sheng's fleet was obviously not the strength that a 1st-level civilization fleet should have. They still didn't find it strange. After confirming that Qin Sheng's fleet basic technology was indeed the technology of the 1st-level civilization, the hub station established the archives of the Great Qin Empire. Well, the Great Qin Empire is indeed a first-class civilization, but it may be a billion points stronger. Civilization name, Great Qin Empire. Civilized race, Homo sapiens race. Civilization level, Level 1. This is the data certificate of your civilization, and you can use this voucher to dock in the port of call of the battleship. Please note, however, that there is a charge at the port of call. Have a great journey. After the end of the communication, Qin Sheng received the data voucher. Flames rose from the rear of the battleship, pushing the battleship slowly forward. At this time, a red, physical light screen rose in front of Qin Sheng's fleet. After a stream of light scanned the entire fleet, the red screen turned into a blue passable state. The fleet was able to move on. At this time, Qin Sheng received communications from the Norton third-level civilization squadron in the rear. Thank you very much for your help. Please also ask your civilization to dock the fleet in Spaceport 1141. We will automatically purchase the right to use the port for your civilization. First of all, I would like to give you the right to use your civilization for 100 years as a thank you. After the fleet is docked, we will abide by the agreement and pay your civilization 1,000 source crystals as a reward. Thank you again for your help. Norton's third-class civilization squadron, the central control room of the ultra-small miniature battle star. Norton Black sighed, what a friendly high civilization. There are not many such friendly higher civilizations in the galaxy now. Yes, it is our good fortune to have encountered such a high civilization. The adjutant next to him also echoed, and his words were full of gratitude. Although they are a third-level member of the Norton Bounty Hunter organization, the Barbarians' Elephant Man civilization. However, the gap between each level of civilization is like a gap that is difficult to cross. Stable, safe, enough to cross a distance of more than 1,000 light-years at a time. There is also the base speed of the fleet curvature engine up to 100 times the speed of light. This is a criterion for a fourth-level civilization. Moreover, it must be calculated that its own civilization does not rely on external forces, and has studied it on its own, accidentally obtained, or purchased from other civilizations, does not count. After all, the level of civilization also measures the true basic scientific research ability of a civilization. After entering the fourth-level civilization, it has entered the ranks of the higher civilization in the universe. The Barbaronian Elephant civilization has been a third-level civilization for 1,000 years. The technological level still has not yet broken through the barrier to the fourth-level civilization. Levels 3 and 4 are a huge watershed. The fourth-level technological barrier has blocked countless civilized races in front. Norton Black sighed and began to contact the hub station. After submitting the approved data voucher, Norton Black was ready to help Qin Sheng by a 100-year-old spaceport port call. So he asked the hub station, has there just been a fourth-level civilization fleet called the Great Qin Empire that has passed? I want to help them buy the right to use spaceport 1141 for 100 years. The hub station AI received the request and immediately responded. There is no query for the records of the fourth-level civilization and the Great Qin Empire. But I found a first-class civilization record called the Great Qin Empire. Just 10 minutes ago, just passed. What? Norton Black was stunned. A first-class civilization? Impossible, right? He couldn't help but glance back at his lieutenant and saw that the lieutenant was also watching him. Most of them saw the shocked expression on each other's faces. First-class civilization? How can it be? How can a first-level civilization have a migration engine technology stronger than our authentic old third-level civilization? Norton Black couldn't believe this at all. However, the intelligent AI of the hub station does not lie. Since he said that it was a first-level civilization, it must be a first-level civilization. This left Norton Black and his subordinates at peace for a long time. Grass is gone. Their Barbaronian elephant civilization has been mixed with dogs for thousands of years. Norton Black and his lieutenant's first feeling was shame. Lose face. Tinema was humiliated. He actually got lost in the transition passage for 120 years, and finally was let out by a first-level civilization. But Norton Black did not blame the Great Qin Empire for this. After all, the Great Qin Empire had never set its own level of civilization. Imagining the Great Qin Empire as a fourth-level civilization was their own wishful thinking. But Norton Black still felt that his heart was blocked. He would be a big disgrace. No, he's got to get some back on the field. Thinking like this, Norton Black still helped the Great Qin Empire buy the right to use the spaceport for 100 years. Then send a communication to Qin Sheng, and the data voucher was transmitted. Norton Black also learned that the Great Qin Empire should be the first time to come to this hub galaxy. He immediately thought that he could act as a skilled guide and personally take the leader of the Great Qin Empire to understand this hub galaxy. Pack a handful of old seniors. After all, he had been in this hub galaxy for hundreds of years. Barbarians is generally straighter like a human brain. According to the moral standards of the Earthlings, the moral standards of the Barbaronian elephant civilization are relatively high. They don't hate other people for small things. Even if you lose face, you will only think about pretending to be forced on other things to regain some face. That's what Norton Black thought. He felt that as a bounty hunter who had been mixed for hundreds of years, he should first take the people of the Great Qin Empire to understand the Judgment Holy See. Destroy chaos and keep the peace of the galaxy at your own per penny. Jin Nyama Noble. Norton Black was about to cry at the touch of his noble mission. On a previous mission, I got about 100,000 chaos destruction credentials. Hey, I can get a lot of good things. Decided, that's it. Norton Black smiled and gave the order. Spaceport 1141. 30 kilometers in diameter, the ultra-small miniature battlestar and more than 1,000 warships around it are docked here. It seems so small. So visible, this spaceport is huge. Next to the Barbarians' elephant civilization fleet were Qin Sheng's 20 warships, 10 Henkel-Zoo-class aircraft carriers, 10 10-kilometers class giant transport supply ships. If you look at the size of the battleship, Then the 10-16-kilometer-long Hangazu-class aircraft carriers are actually not much weaker in scale than the ultra-small miniature battle stars of the Barbarians' elephant civilization. Not to mention that outsiders can't see that these 10 aircraft carriers have more than 1,000 warships stored inside. Spaceport 1141 affiliated city, inside the harbor lounge. Dressed in black armor with full coverage dragon scales, Qin Sheng sat on a suspended chair that could automatically change size and form. The two gleaming scarlet eyepieces above the face armor looked at the tall Barrelon's elephant man, who was more than 4 meters tall in front of him. Qin Sheng's armored forehead was decorated with 2 erect dragon horns. On the right chest of the black dragon scale armor is written a blood-red Qin in small seals. Behind Qin Sheng, standing, Long Mo, who had transformed into a battle form with full coverage of dragon scales, acted as a bodyguard. The dragon foam in this state further highlights the bumpy and proud figure. Qin Sheng did not take Ella with him, after all, he was simply talking about single combat effectiveness. The etheric dragons were the strongest of the 3 races under Qin Sheng. You can call me Emperor, I am the leader of the great Qin Empire. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly and said to Norton Black. In this hub galaxy, Qin Sheng estimated that most of the civilization races in the few human-type biological hub galaxies were still non-human. The second effect of Qin Sheng's Emperor aura was that all non-humanoid creatures would feel incomparably frightened when they saw him. Therefore, in order to cause unnecessary trouble, Qin Sheng had already taken the initiative to turn off the effect of the Emperor's aura. Hello, Emperor, I am Norton Black, and I thank you again for your help. The agreed 1,000 source crystals, I have already sent the transport ship to your civilization's fleet. Norton Black nodded and said. Qin Sheng tilted his head slightly, and soon heard the voice of Neil, an engineering humanoid maiden. Your Majesty the Emperor, I have already received it. Very good. After receiving the source crystal, Qin Sheng was ready to leave. After all, he is only polite and meets with the other party. Wait, Emperor, you're coming to the Mibac Hub galaxy for the first time, aren't you? Norton stopped Qin Sheng and asked. That's right. Qin Sheng didn't hide it either, and nodded directly. Well, I've been in this hub galaxy for hundreds of years, and I'm familiar with everything. I want to take you to a noble place, a place where the Holy See of Judgment, dedicated to the mission to expel the forces of chaos, contributes to the peace of the galaxy. Would you like to go? Norton Black looked at Qin Sheng sincerely. After all, only Qin Sheng entered the Judgment Holy See, becoming a newcomer chaos hunter, after the newcomer bounty hunter. Norton Black was able to teach Qin Sheng as an old senior who had been in the industry for hundreds of years, and pretended to be forced to find the field in front of Qin Sheng. Norton Black at this moment can even be imagined. After Qin Sheng entered the bounty hunter profession, he could only receive the income from the newcomers, less than 100 Chaos Destruction Vouchers mission, and then watched with great reverence the scene of him handing over 100,000 Chaos Destruction credentials. Ha 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 ha. Norton Black almost burst out laughing. Under the opposite Qin Sheng armor, there was a playful expression. This is the incredibly simple and interesting idea of the Barbaronian Elephant Man. Although in terms of civilization level, they are a third-level civilization, the Great Qin Empire is a first-level civilization. However, the Great Qin Empire possessed a higher, stable migration engine technology that they had never possessed, and was still in the distance, untouchable. Although I don't know where they got it from. But the Barbaronian elephants have always paid attention to the privacy of others, and they will not take the initiative to ask questions that should not be asked. No matter how curious you are, you won't ask. Therefore, Norton Black could not find a sense of superiority in the level of civilization. Can only find a sense of superiority from the Judgment Holy See, his best bounty hunter industry. Judgment Holy See? It just so happens that I'm going to judge the Holy See too. Qin Sheng agreed to Norton Black's invitation. Take Long Mo with him to the Holy See of Judgment. The Inquisition has a branch in the Hub Galaxy. The location is right in the city attached to Spaceport 1141. Can't be said to be a coincidence. Because Norton Black was a bounty hunter, he often had to deal with the Holy See of Judgment. Pick up the task. Therefore, his fleet is also docked in Spaceport 1141 all year round, close to the Holy See of Judgment. Attached to the Space City. Most of the inhabitants are people of the Athos civilization, the galaxy's native fourth-level civilization force, and the commissioner who commissioned the Mibac civilization to build the sphere. The overall image of the Athosians is tall, thin, and tall, with an average height of more than 2 meters. It's like a bamboo pole, and there is green rough skin. The shape of the head resembles a humpback whale, like a mop. There are 4 eyes, distributed on both sides. There is no mouth, and the front has 4 small oval holes that serve as the respiratory tract. Most of the attached space cities are Athosians. The Yados were a race that had begun to be unenterprising and degenerate. Their civilization did not pass the screening of the cosmic filter, and the internal entertainment of the civilization was to death, and corruption became the norm. Then he sold the mother star directly to the 6th-level civilization, the Mibac civilization. In exchange for the Mibac civilization helping them build a sun-loading ball. So that they have access to inexhaustible permanent energy. So that they can continue to have fun. In addition, Qin Sheng could also see many other strange shapes and creatures of other races. For example, the head is loaded with a circular helmet device, the inside of the helmet is filled with water, and the appearance of a squid floating in the air is a creature. Or a creature with a bird's head but no wings, and an obese creature. Riding on the large shuttle in the space city, Qin Sheng enjoyed the scene inside the artificial ecological circle in the space city. He hadn't seen such a sight in a long time. The last time there was such a landscape, the planet was the home planet of the Morandes civilization. However, unfortunately, Qin Sheng, who had not seen much of the good scenery, was destroyed by him and turned into a Death Star. Qin Sheng saw the solidified magma, and the atmosphere full of hundreds of billions of tons of sulfide that covered the sky and the sun, which could not penetrate the sun. The speed of the large floating shuttle is very fast. In less than an hour, it docked at an airport in a space city. Got off the shuttle and stood on top of the anti-gravity suspension elevator. Anti-gravity technology, at least after studying the theory of the great unity of the universe and establishing a perfect model of the great unity of the universe, can we use extraordinary, godlike technology? Qin Sheng sighed. I don't know when he will be able to reach this level and be able to casually apply the extraordinary technology of anti-gravity to daily life. Although anti-gravity technology seems to be nothing, so that an elevator can be used, but this really represents the horror of the 6th-level civilization, the Mibac civilization. Qin Sheng took long ammo and entered a huge building with Norton Black with a height of 21,000 meters. This huge building is 21,000 meters high and has a black exterior. At the very top of the building, there is also a dazzling star shining, the symbol of a painful chaos demon. This is the symbol of the Holy See. Episode 57, First Level Civilization? Shock the audience. Now there are many people, etc., will give you kneeling. Before the judgment of the Holy See, there was also a slogan. Skull sacrifice to the Holy See, blood sacrifice chaos, killing and terrorism, burning treachery, decapitation, destruction of sexual abuse. Qin Sheng could see at a glance that this slogan was the words of the target of the terrible sentence, cranial constellation, blood-stained blood god, slaughtering galaxies, burning the galaxy. The Holy See of Judgment is a civilized institution dedicated to hunting down the forces of chaos. Powerful, almost all over the galaxy. Most galaxies, hubs, and stations where civilizations have gathered have their branches. Chaos appears in the surrounding galaxy, and they will also go to investigate at the first time. Then, depending on the level of chaos threat, missions are released for the civilization that is a bounty hunter to hunt and kill in exchange for a reward. Of course, the Holy See of Judgment will also reward them for hunting chaos without issuing a mission. As long as you can bring the chaos destruction credentials here. Chaos destroyed the credentials, and it had never been mentioned before what it looked like. After Qin Sheng obtained it, the system was automatically stored in the reward space of the system. As soon as he entered this 21,000-meter-tall giant building, the first thing facing Qin Sheng was a huge demon of terror. This masculine demon stands in a circular space inside the building. It is 1,200 meters high, and the huge demon double wind behind it spreads more than 3,000 meters. It looked lifelike, the facial expression was still twisting and angry, and the eyes were still flashing scarlet. Ha ha ha, I'm scared. Norton Black laughed next to Qin Sheng. This is a bloodthirsty demon, extremely powerful, enough to easily destroy the 4th-level high civilization. But don't worry, he has been hunted down by the Holy See of Judgment and made into a lifelike specimen by special means, and placed here as a deterrent. In the tens of thousands of light-years around us, the main threat of chaos is terrorism. However, this is only a branch of the Holy See of Judgment, and the specimen is placed on a 4th-level bloodthirsty demon, and I have heard that at the headquarters of the Holy See of Trial, there is a huge specimen of a great demon who is afraid of the election of God. I heard that the great demon chosen by the fearful God is enough to rival the true 6th-level civilization, and just one finger is hundreds of kilometers long. Even the Holy See was judged, and it was only with the cornerstone weapon of mathematical rules that it was actually killed 1.2 million years ago. Then place it on top of the star at the headquarters of the Holy See as a deterrent. I heard that the area where the battle was fought at that time was tens of thousands of light years away, a piece of erosion, and still nothing. Norton Black spoke, his words filled with emotion and fear of the mighty power of the Holy See. Not to mention the bloodthirsty demon at headquarters. Even if he was facing this now, he would have to run away desperately. Speaking of which, I haven't really killed a bloodthirsty demon yet. Norton sighed. Mathematical rules cornerstone weapons. Qin Sheng was actually shocked by this word for a while. What a magnificent civilization must be to make all the cornerstones of science and technology, the foundation of physics, the basic rules of the underlying rules, which exist but cannot be touched, into weapons. The Holy See of Judgment is worthy of being a 6th-level peak civilization force. Qin Sheng thought about it and suddenly asked, by the way, Norton, do you know how the Chaos Destruction credentials came from? Why is it that as long as you kill a Chaos Believer or Chaos Demon, you will automatically get it? Hearing Qin Sheng ask about this, Noga Blake was suddenly interested. Cough cough. Norton coughed dryly, and now, as an old senior, he wanted to give Qin Sheng a good knowledge of science. In other words, he is going to start showing off his knowledge and start pretending to be forced. It is said that the Chaos Destruction Voucher is a rule-type weapon used by the Holy See of Judgment to mark all Chaos Demons and Chaos Believers. Whether it is the past billions of years, or the next billions of years, as long as there are new demons, Chaos Believers appear and enter the real universe, they will automatically be marked by the universe. I heard that the Holy See was actually preparing to use the concept of rules, the weapon of causal law to destroy all the Chaos Demons, including the 4 evil gods, in one fell swoop. The 4 evil gods are immortal and immortal, and they are a collection of countless negative emotions in the universe, and they can only be killed by completely rewriting the rules of the underlying cornerstone of the universe with the rule concept class and the causal law weapon. But unfortunately, the strength of the 4 evil gods is still too strong, and the evil gods have a way to deal with such weapons. Therefore, after the failure, the Holy See of Judgment had to make this decision to mark all the chaotic forces. As long as you destroy the chaos forces, you can get this token as a proof. In this way, the civilizational forces in the whole universe are encouraged to take the initiative to find the chaos forces and take the initiative to hunt and kill, so as to block the chaotic manyen. After all, even if it is a 6th-level civilization, its energy is limited. Norton Black said, laughing, ha ha ha, it is precisely because of this that we, the middle and low-level civilizations, can act as bounty hunters in exchange for a large number of rewards. Qin Sheng suddenly realized. I see. At the same time, he is also lamenting what kind of height the basic science and technology must reach in order to rewrite the rules of the universe so lightly. Norton Black was obviously very satisfied and could show his posture in front of Qin Sheng. His huge 4-meter-tall body stretched out his palm and gently patted Qin Sheng's back. As a newcomer who has just entered this industry, you still have a lot to learn, ha 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 ha, I can take your civilized fleet on missions later. To do our business, we must have strong strength. The basic scientific research technology of your civilization is not high, right? Do not worry, as long as I take you with me, I believe that you will soon be able to accumulate the technology to exchange a full set of 2nd-level civilization basic scientific research systems. Norton Black said, and he took Qin Sheng to continue to move forward. The massive circular space in which the specimen of the 4th-level Chaos Bloodthirsty Great Demon is located. There are 4 roads in 4 directions. Qin Sheng's path was directly opposite, and the other 3 roads on the left and right sides. Norton led him down the road on the right. I walked around and came to a wide room. There are also quite a few bounty hunters in this room at the moment. There are all kinds of civilized races. And the bodies of these civilized races are generally huge. Norton Black is a Barbaronian elephant man civilization, with a 4-meter-tall body that is not outstanding among the bounty hunters. Because most are bounty hunters who fight against phobia, these people are at the bottom of the industry. Most of the executions are done by going deep into a living planet to help local civilizations and fearful believers, or the legions of terrorism fighting on land. As a result, their extra large bodies allow them to better pilot large mechs. Some of these bounty hunter species represent a civilizational force. Some are loners who come and go alone and have fleets. But Qin Sheng rarely saw humans. Hey! Commander Black, this is really strange, I haven't seen you for more than 100 years, right? As soon as Norton Black came in, bounty hunters of other civilizations looked at Norton and shouted. Norton Black was the commander of the Barbaronian elephant civilization. In fact, there are many bounty hunters here, all of whom are commanders or leaders of a certain civilization's army. Behind them all represents a civilization with a population of tens of billions, hundreds of billions, or even trillions. But here the 6th-level civilization forces tried the Holy See, they could still only act as a bounty hunter leader. It can be seen that the gap between the 2 sides is huge, and it can be seen that it is small. Not to mention, my fleet was damaged by a subspace storm set off by a goddamn bloodthirsty demon. I've been lost in the cosmic string passage for 120 years. If it weren't for this brother of the great Qin Empire civilization who took me out, I would probably die in the cosmic string passage for the rest of my life. Norton sighed and waved his hand. Ha 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 ha. You're so lucky, the bounty hunters laughed loudly, and only then did they notice Qin Sheng next to Norton. Qin Sheng's height was also nearly 2 meters, but in front of these other races with huge bodies of 4 or 5 meters, they still looked inconspicuous. Okay, don't say it, this brother is also a newcomer to our line. In the future, in this area, I would like to ask you to make a public announcement that the civilization of the Great Qin Empire is covered by our Norton Bounty Hunter organization. It's our barbarian elephant civilization. Norton Black said directly to everyone. And everyone else was happy to give Norton Black face. In their view, it was possible to take the fleet of Barbaronian elephant civilization out of the cosmic string passage. It must be a third-level civilization with strong strength. And they are happy to make friends with a new third-level civilization. After all, they are all mixed in this hub galaxy for hundreds, thousands of years old fritters, no stupid people. Even if some people want to oppose Norton Black, they will wait and see what the strength of this great Qin Empire is. Norton Black led Qin Sheng straight to the center of this wide room, where a huge, glowing orb was here. This is the intelligent AI deployed here by the Holy See of Judgment. A phantom appeared, and in Qin Sheng's eyes, this phantom was a virtual beauty, with excellent appearance, excellent posture, and perfect figure. This is the intelligent AI of the Holy See, and people of every race look at it differently. For example, I saw a wonderful barbarian elephant woman who was nearly 4 meters tall and had 4 beautiful thick legs. Norton Black explained to Qin Sheng, and then began to submit the task. The AI glanced at Norton Black, and said, Norton Black, Barbarian's Elephant Civilization, Level 3 Civilization, has completed the task of clearing DTZ S051141 Galaxy, Living Planet's billion Chaos Believers. Submit 100,000 Chaos Destruction Vouchers. Query existing Chaos Destruction Voucher reserves. Norton Black said. Barbarian's Elephant Civilization, existing Chaos Destruction Voucher reserves, 3.27 million. After the sound sounded, the bounty hunters of many other civilizations let out a sense. More than 3 million Chaos Destruction credentials, which were the top of their list. Norton's Chaos Destruction credentials are all nearly 3.5 million. Is it enough to exchange a relatively stable quasi-4-level migration engine device? Yeah, I don't know when I'll be able to save up so many Chaos Destruction credentials. Bounty hunters of many other civilizations said enviously. Norton Black himself is a third-level civilization, and behind it is the fourth-level dominant civilization of the Norton Bounty Hunter organization. They wouldn't have beaten Norton's idea. Norton Black said triumphantly to Qin Sheng, see, 100,000 Chaos Destruction vouchers can be exchanged for a lot of good things. You're a newcomer to the industry, and you may have killed some Chaos Believers before, but you've got very little estimate, and it's not bad to have hundreds of credentials. But don't be discouraged, brother, I will take you into the industry, and naturally, I will take you on a mission. And Qin Sheng looked at Norton Black suspiciously. Which of your eyes saw that I was discouraged? Qin Sheng turned his head and said to the AI that judged the Holy See, Great Qin Empire Civilization, submit all the Chaos Destruction certificates. Great Qin Empire Civilization, newly promoted first-level civilization. Norton Black listened, laughing and patting Qin Sheng's back. Ha ha ha, you still have a long way to go, ha 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 ha. The bounty hunters of many other civilizations were all stunned, and then sneered, first-level civilization. Some civilized races that usually do not deal with Norton immediately laugh at Norton Black. Ha 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 ha, Black, you are really ashamed. Actually let a civilization take you out of the cosmic string channel. Ha 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 ha. At this time, the voice of the Judgment Holy See AI continues to sound. The number of Chaos Destruction credential tokens being detected. After determining that the Great Qin Empire was only a first-level civilization, there was no worries, and those civilized races that targeted Norton Black stood up. Boy, just entered this line, you will know what the rules are in the future. After all, Qin Sheng was brought by Norton Black, and they targeted Norton at the same time, but also against Qin Sheng. Shut up. This is the person I brought, and it's my turn to get you to talk. Norton Black let out a loud roar, suppressing everyone's voices. At the same time, he secretly said to Qin Sheng, you are a newcomer, you may have killed some Chaos Believers before, but it is estimated that you will get hundreds of certificates at most. Listen to your brother's words, and save some face for your brother, don't report the number. Before the sentence was finished, the voice of the AI sounded again. The Great Qin Empire, the newly registered first-level civilization, the Chaos Destruction mark has been calculated. equivalent to 2,360,000 chaos destruction vouchers. Norton Black listened, and did not react at the first time. He suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. More than 2,000 chaos destruction credentials. It is good. It is incomparably outstanding in the first-level civilization. It is not a shame, huh? No sooner had he finished speaking than Norton Black suddenly felt as if something was wrong there. Just isn't it? Behind. And a swastika? Well, 10,000? 2,366,000? Oh, elephant legs of the Lord God. After Norton Black reacted, he screamed violently, and his huge eyes widened, looking at Qin Sheng in utter shock. Just said 2 or 3,660,000? 1. The last 10,000 words, the startled Norton Black, a 4-meter-tall elephant man macho voice, changed shape and became sharp. It's just killing a bloodthirsty demon and preparing a god for a treacherous man. Qin Sheng waved his hand indifferently, indicating that this was not unusual. And Norton Black swallowed again. His heart was extremely shocked, and his face and expression were frozen. Bloodthirsty demons, treacherous and prepared for divine election. Well behaved. What kind of monster is this? Not unusual. This is very fucking strange, okay. Norton could only feel that all 4 of his rough elephant legs were trembling. Obediently, what a monster he has brought. Think about it before I still want to pretend to be a bounty hunter old man. Looking at it now, I am a purota. Norton looked at his 4 rough elephant legs and then at Qin Sheng. This is the real thick thigh, the golden thigh. To tell the truth, if it weren't for the large number of people now, Norton Black would have already given Qin Sheng a knee. At this moment, the bounty hunters of many other civilizations have long been silent. Quiet, depressing. There was a shock in everyone's heart. More than 20 million chaos destruction vouchers, you tell me at this time, the new people of the first-level civilization. Judgment of the AI of the Holy See, are you crazy? Many people simply don't want to believe it. But there were also a few civilized people whose eyes shone with greed, and they looked at each other. And then they left here together. Episode 58, Norton Black was numb. Originally, he also wanted to use his status as a veteran bounty hunter to take Qin Sheng to the beginning and pretend to be forced in front of Qin Sheng. Unexpectedly, he didn't expect this forced disguise. He himself had worked hard for hundreds of years, and the chaos destruction certificate obtained was not more than a fraction of the others. Just when Norton Black was depressed and felt that he had mixed with dogs for hundreds of years, he glanced at the people who had just left. The look in his eyes was cold. Norton Black whispered to Qin Sheng, "Emperor, you have to be careful, just a few people have gone out. They are all the more notorious civilizational gangs in the Hub galaxy. Piracy is extremely high and privateers are rampant. AI doesn't lie, and if you say you're a first-class civilization, then you're really a first-class civilization. I don't know why I got so many chaos destruction credentials. They had something in mind that they shouldn't have. I guess, they think. You may have been lucky before, killing a bloodthirsty demon who is not so strong, and preparing a divine election. Got so many chaos destruction credentials. So they thought about it. When Qin Sheng heard this, he frowned and said, "Chaos destroys the credentials, and between civilizations and civilizations, can they still plunder?" Norton Black shook his head, "No, there is no transferable transaction between the chaos destruction credentials. After all, this is the voucher that the rules automatically mark on you after you killed a chaos demon. It's already a rule of nature. So it's impossible to trade, and it's impossible to be robbed." But Norton Black turned sharply and said, "But the reward you redeem after using the chaos destruction voucher can be robbed. After all, those rewards are real. Moreover, most of the judgments in the Holy See are some technical rewards. After the exchange, it cannot be directly converted into combat effectiveness in a short period of time. Therefore." With this said, Qin Sheng understood. At the same time, he was also slightly wary in his heart. Looking at it this way, there are several B1/3 level and bright for one. If you really want to join forces to grab his newly acquired technology, it is really a bit dangerous. After all, a true 3rd-level civilization, even if it is mixed up, its combat effectiveness will not be bad. Basically, they all have energy shields. Qin Sheng had to use these chaos destruction credentials quickly. Redeemed for a large number of technical rewards. Then a large number of technical values are consumed. Quickly turn it into combat power. I want to redeem some advanced technology, is there any recommendation? Qin Sheng thought about it for a moment and said to the orb AI in front of him, "Please wait a minute." The virtual beauty AI that appeared above the round ball in front of her spoke, and then a stream of light flashed. A list that only he could see directly appeared in Qin Sheng's mind. Judgment, Holy See Chaos, Destroy Voucher Redeem Reward Shop. Microscopic Space Warp Force Field Shield, Level 4 Standard 40 million. Microscopic Particle Decomposition Cannon Technology, Level 4 Standard 20 million. Planetary Microscopic Basis Particle Solidification Modification Technology, Level 4 Standard 120 million. The Holy See of Judgment does not sell the technology of the Fifth Order civilization, or in other words, the division of the Judgment Holy See does not sell the things of the Fifth Order civilization. But even the fourth level civilization thing is too expensive. Qin Sheng's eyes widened. He had worked so hard to save so many chaos destruction credentials that he could only buy a microscopic particle decomposition cannon technology in the end. Moreover, let's look at the solidification and modification technology of the microscopic basis particles of that planet. This is the main modification technology of the star Battlestar. Before, Qin Sheng had misremembered, and he thought that he needed at least 1 billion chaos destruction vouchers to buy. But now, if you look at it, you only need 120 million to buy. But even so, Qin Sheng still couldn't afford it. His current chaos destruction credentials looked like a lot, more than 20 million, but it was actually a fraction of this. Although expensive, Qin Sheng also knew that it was definitely worth the money. Planetary microscopic basis particle solidification technology is to transform and solidify the planetary basis particles through the microscopic universe. Increase its quality, strength, all. This is the basic technology for building a planetary battlestar. After the completion of the modification, the size of the battlestar will be reduced compared to the size of the original planet, but the intensity will increase by 100 times. Weapons of the third-level civilization technology generally cannot deal damage to the battlestar. This is also the reason why the battlestar of the fourth-level civilization is so powerful. The standard of the fourth-level civilization, in addition to being fast, accurate, and able to cross 1,000 light-years at a time, is the migration engine. There is also a particularly important technical symbol, that is, microcosm technology. Only the technology that can be perfected and transformed from the microscopic level is truly mastered. Only then can it be regarded as a real step into the level of the fourth-level civilization. Therefore, the real fourth-level civilization, the basic materials science is far stronger than the third-level civilization is innumerable times stronger. The most common ships of a fourth-level civilization have been enhanced by microscopic particle technology, and their strength, even if they stand to let thousands of third-level civilizations fight. None of them may be damaged, and they can leave calmly. This is the huge gap in basic materials science between the fourth-level civilization and the third-level civilization. It's too expensive, show me the top technology of the third-level civilization. Qin Sheng looked straight at the grin. It's all good stuff, but he can't afford it. Even if you buy, you can only afford to buy 1 or 2 of them, and looking at this list, there are hundreds of items. All of the scientific and technological projects of the fourth-level civilization were sold separately. If you buy it packaged, the price is definitely a digital voice that makes Qin Sheng look up, and the list is refreshed. Microscopic Universe Preliminary Observation Technology, Level 3 Peak 2.5 million Migratory Wormhole Space Jammers, Level 3 Peak 2 million. High Energy Plasma Pulse Technology, Level 3 Standard 900,000. High Strength Level 3 Civilization Alloy Armor Technology, Level 3 Standard 500,000. Above the dazzling list in his eyes, there were more technologies than the fourth-level civilization, and thousands of various technologies were displayed in Qin Sheng's eyes. From these technologies, Qin Sheng also saw several familiar things. For example, 10 times the speed of light curvature engine missile technology, 3 levels high 1.5 million. This technology is the technology that Qin Sheng possesses. But this is not to say that with this technology, the civilization level of the Great Qin Empire is 3 levels. The level of basic science is still 1 level. Because for the 10 times the speed of light curvature engine missile, Qin Sheng only knew it but did not know it. That is to say, the Great Qin Empire only knows how to make it, but does not understand the basic scientific and technological height. The same is true of the high-class ion pulse technology, although it is the main weapon of the Wuhan-Jun-class pulse heavy gun frigate. But Qin Sheng actually did not understand the deep means of his technology, but would only manufacture it according to the corresponding methods set in the technology. After reading these things, Qin Sheng took a deep breath. He first had to buy something that could really improve the civilization level of the Great Qin Empire, such as a full set of basic research techniques for second-level civilization. Secondary Civilization Basic Scientific Research Technology Package, Grade 2, the basic science of 900,000 second-level civilizations is established on top of the controllable nuclear fusion technology that is higher than that of the first-level civilization. The second-level civilization's understanding of the universe is more profound than that of the first-level civilization. They are also more mature in their research on curvature engines. This package contains all the physical theories of the second-level civilization, the basic research techniques of the scientific foundation, and technical means. Can help your civilization to quickly study, from a first-level civilization to a second-level civilization. This thing was what Qin Sheng needed at the moment. This will increase his civilization level. Look again at the price. Not expensive. Just 900,000. Qin Sheng could also buy many other things. Think about it. Qin Sheng was in pain. He felt he needed the same big killer. Must be able to effectively threaten higher-level civilizations. After thinking about it, Qin Sheng selected 3 things. The first thing is that the second-level civilization sacrifice scientific research technology combination package can help the Great Qin Empire quickly upgrade its own civilization level. Advance basic science. After all, Qin Sheng's fleet now had strong armor and strong weapons, but the grassroots structure under the armor of the battleship was still the technology of the first-level civilization. He had always fought enemies whose civilization level was inferior to his. So there are no drawbacks. But once a higher civilization is encountered, this drawback will be obvious. And this may be fatal in future battles. And the second thing is a very critical one. Preliminary observation technique of microscopic universe, level 3 peak. After the promotion of the Great Qin Empire to a second-level civilization, there was a follow-up research direction, and the improvement of basic science by this technology was incomparably huge. It is possible to make a preliminary observation of the microscopic universe on the technical side of this technique. If the microscopic universe can be observed, then all the theories of basic science will be much easier to understand. More new technologies can also be discovered. It was also something that could quickly help Qin Sheng to rise to the level of civilization. And the third thing, it is more awesome. Microscopic particle decomposition cannon technology, level 4 standard. This is a technology that Qin Sheng is ready to buy to protect himself. After it is determined, Qin Sheng purchased these 3 technologies. Are you sure you want to buy? This will cost 23.4 million chaos to destroy the credentials. The voice of the judgment, Holy CAI, sounded in Qin Sheng's ears. Qin Sheng confirmed the purchase. The Chaos Destruction credential marker has been eliminated, 203,400,000. Now the remaining Chaos Destruction credential tag, 260,000. The technology has been released. Qin Sheng opened his eyes again. I found that I had an extra data reservoir in my hand. It looks very inconspicuous. Phew. It was such a small thing, storing a huge amount of technology, that consumed so much of my Chaos Destruction credentials. Qin Sheng exhaled a breath and looked at the data storage device in his hand. The sheer volume of information stored inside it made Qin Sheng marvel. If you materialize all the internal data, it becomes a sheet of paper full of data. It was estimated that it could directly fill Qin Sheng's 4.7-kilometer-long Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser. Among them, the basic technology of the second-level civilization occupies the majority. The second-level civilization basic technology portfolio package, level 2 standard, 100 times increase. You have obtained the third-level civilization basic technology combo pack. 3-level civilization basic technology package. This package contains a full set of basic science, basic mathematics, basic physical materials, energy optics, quantum mechanics, and other technologies of the 3-level civilization. After research, it can help to quickly upgrade to the level of civilization. Preliminary observation techniques for the microscopic universe, level 3 peak, have been obtained. Through this technology, the microscopic universe can be observed, and the technology of the third-level civilization can further enhance the basic technology, which is the key to entering the fourth-level civilization. Its basic science level has exceeded the current basic technology level of the Great Qin Empire, and it cannot increase by 100-fold, but has increased by 100-fold from the number. You got the microscopic preliminary observation technology, level 3 peak, x100. Microscopic particle decomposition cannon technology has been obtained, level 4 standard. This technology is already a mature 4th-level civilization technology, which can emit microscopic particles to decompose the beam of light, and decompose the obstacles they encounter microscopically. Its basic science level far exceeds the current basic technology level of the Great Qin Empire, and it cannot increase by 100-fold, and it has increased by 100-fold from the number. You got the microscopic ion decomposition cannon X100. Please also raise the current civilization level. Qin Sheng was slightly stunned. Sleeper? Pit daddies this? The first one is better to say, the last two cannot be 100 times higher in technical intensity. Can only increase from the number of hundreds of times? What's the use of him asking for 100 sets of microscopic preliminary observation techniques? If he studied it, he only needed one set. Qin Sheng was deceived. He might as well just buy more second-level weapon technology and strengthen it 100-fold. And the third item? It can only be received. It was okay. Fortunately, the third technology is weapon technology, and even if the second level is strong and strengthened 100 times, it is impossible to compare with the level of the fourth-level civilization. 100 microscopic particle decomposition cannons were obtained directly. This could truly become Qin Sheng's direct combat strength. This also made Qin Sheng deeply understand. Your civilization level is not enough, even if you can't open the plugin completely. Now Qin Sheng still had 260,000 chaos destruction credentials left. Qin Sheng knew that if the level of technical basic science obtained exceeded his own, too much, then it is impossible to get a 100-fold increase in technical enhancement. After learning this lesson, Qin Sheng wanted to see if there was any better battleship blueprint. The battleships he now possessed were all enhanced by 100 times the technology of the first-level civilization. Qin Sheng was also able to strengthen the technology of the second-level civilization by 100-fold. Start querying the blueprints of the battleship. After weighing the price, Qin Sheng took a fancy to one of the warships to make blue. Shield ship, second class peak 200,000. Shield ship, this battleship is a special kind of battleship, specially armored, coated with a special energy scattering coating, is a large unmanned defense ship. Because of its unmanned nature, it can be at the front of the fleet and act as a protective shield for the rear fleet. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly. This is good. At present, the technology of Qin Sheng's warships was strengthened by 100 times the technology of the first-level civilization. Usually bullying low-level civilizations, that is a state of crushing. However, if you are facing a civilization of the upper 3 levels or above, even if you can still suppress the other side, nor will it open up too many gaps. Now Qin Sheng needed such a battleship whose foundation was not low and could also make him 100 times stronger. 200,000 chaos destruction vouchers have been deducted. Now the remaining chaos destruction voucher, 60,000. Qin Sheng sighed slightly, more than 20 million chaos destroyed the voucher, such a small meeting, there were only 60,000 left. But it's worth it. 100 times enhanced, giant shield ship type, special defense battleship. Inner armor, advanced enhanced crystal nano regenerative armor. Outer armor, pseudo-red dragon scale battleship enhanced armor. Outer armor thickness, 17,000 millimeters. Inner armor thickness, 15,000 millimeters. Outermost defense, one-way thickened energy shield generator energy value, 5 billion, body length, 1,500 m. Front shield height, 1,300 meters. Shield width, 1,000 meters. Dead weight, 2.7 million tons. The only weapon system, Shield Hurricane Curvature Engine Missile Launch Platform, Episode 59. The hull of the giant shield battleship is slightly special. It's like a mushroom placed horizontally. The thick armored hull at the front resembles an umbrella. The hull at the back is slender. The only weapon platform for this battleship is the launch platform of the Shield Hurricane Curvature Engine Missile behind the giant shield, above the slender hull. Because this is a kind of unmanned ship, it can save a lot of space for energy, missile platform installation. It can also carry huge amounts of curvature engine missiles. The protection is unmatched. After redeeming this battleship, Qin Sheng only had 60,000 chaos destruction credentials left. Open your eyes again. I saw Norton Black's somewhat complicated look. Why didn't you say this earlier? Norton Black whispered to Qin Sheng. What's the matter? Qin Sheng asked. It's the chaos that destroys the credentials. I already know that you have so much. In public, I won't take you directly. There are many people here, and you know who is secretly watching in your heart. Norton Black said, bringing up one of the previous events again. Not long ago, a few of my enemies went out. They're expected to gather a fleet to block you. Because I brought you here, I also targeted you with you. Not to mention that you should have exchanged a lot of good things. Norton Black sighed and said with some remorse. When Qin Sheng heard this, he nodded and said, I did redeem some good things, and basically spent them all. Spent? Norton Black's eyes widened in shock. He had been mixing for hundreds of years, and he had saved up 327,000 chaos destruction certificates. I have always saved and have not been willing to spend. I thought about buying both the preliminary observation technology of the microscopic universe and the stable transition engine technology at the same time. But it's a little bit worse. Now since Qin Sheng, one shot was more than 20 million chaos destruction certificates. And then just a little while, it's all spent. Norton Black was almost suffocating. Suddenly, I felt that Qin Sheng's big hand was spending what he had been trying hard for thousands of years. He could not imagine the world of the rich. Thinking of this, Norton Blackton said to Qin Sheng, "Don't leave the hub galaxy first. I'm afraid that as soon as you go out, you'll be targeted by the people who just went out. It's my fault, I'm tired of you. If you're going out, then my fleet is with you. After all, I'm a bit of a face, and if they're going to rob you, then I'll be able to protect you." Norton Black took the initiative to take the responsibility on himself and said to Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng bowed his head slightly. He said, "Rest assured, with my strength, I don't pay attention to the general third-level civilization." This confident look suddenly left Norton speechless. Although Qin Sheng had so many chaos destruction credentials, who knew how he got it? Norton Black wanted to believe in Qin Sheng's strength. However, the gap in the level of civilization is here. Every time there is a difference in the level of civilization, the difference is a huge gap between the worlds and the Earth. Not to mention that Qin Sheng's Great Qin Empire was now only a first-level civilization. And the enemy has at least 3 third-level civilizations. After thinking about it, Norton felt that something was uninsured. He looked at himself and saw that he still had 337,000 chaos destruction credentials. A grit of teeth. Directly swipe with one hand to summon a virtual light screen. Clicked on the light screen. At the same time, above the multi-civilization exchange forum of the Hub Galaxy, there is an extra message. "I am Norton Black, commander of the Norton Bounty Hunter Organization, a third-order civilization, and the commander of the Barbarans Elephant Civilization. Now I have here a full set of information on preliminary observation techniques of the microscopic universe. Worth 2.5 million chaos destruction vouchers. I need a top-notch battleship that can resist the attack of the 4th-level civilization for at least 10 minutes, a curvature engine that can reach 50 times the speed of light, and a battleship with excellent stealth ability. Or 25,000 source crystals. If you want to contact me as a trader, you can contact me directly." Norton Black made a lot of determination. He was ready to spend the chaos destruction certificate he had saved over the past few hundred years to trade a spaceship that could fight and run with other civilizations for Qin Sheng. You cannot use the transition engine because other tertiary civilizations also have a transition engine. Sooner or later, the cosmic string channel will be caught up. So it can only be a curvature engine more than 50 times the speed of light, without passing through the cosmic string channel. In this way, those who have ill intentions cannot catch up. Norton Black thought to himself. He's out. Even the chaotic destruction credentials he had painstakingly accumulated over the past few hundred years had all been in vain. Also help Qin Sheng leave the Hub Galaxy safely. Microscopic Universe Preliminary Observation Technology. It is the key to the promotion of a third-level civilization to a fourth-level civilization technology. Under the fourth-level civilization, all civilizations are as small as ants, and this statement is not a joke. So Norton Black worked hard for hundreds of years, just for this technology and a stable migration engine. Be able to promote his mother civilization from level 3 to level 4 in peace. And in order to prevent someone from redeeming the copy and then distributing it everywhere. The entire set of materials of the Microscopic Universe Preliminary Observation Technique redeemed from the Judgment Holy See has been specially encrypted at the level of 6th level civilization. You can view it if you want to, but once you want to use any means to back up your data, the technical data will be automatically destroyed. So it's impossible to be copied. And each civilization is limited to 1 copy. Norton's efforts over the past few hundred years have been in vain. But even so, Norton Black still wanted to help Qin Sheng. If he couldn't protect Qin Sheng, he would at least be able to let Qin Sheng escape in the battleship he had traded. Qin Sheng saw Norton Black's action and opened the Civilization Exchange Forum of the Hub Galaxy. Nature discovered the news that Norton Black had just released. He began by posing a question. "Norton, can you exchange chaos to destroy credentials for something that you can trade with other civilizations?" Norton Black's side released the news. Before he noticed that Qin Sheng also saw it, he nodded with a little heartache in his heart. "I can trade. There is a special trading platform in the Hub Galaxy." The corners of Qin Sheng's mouth ticked slightly. It was okay, so that he would not lose money. Although the 100-fold amplification system failed to strengthen the Microscopic Universe Preliminary Observation Technology by 100-fold. But the quantity is intensified. Qin Sheng now holds 100 copies of Microscopic Universe Preliminary Observation Technology, if they all sell at the price that Norton Black just sent a message. How much is that worth? Reaching out and patting Norton's thigh, which was 4 meters high next to him, Qin Sheng could only pat his thigh. Qin Sheng smiled. I made this friend of yours, and the transaction post you just posted can be withdrawn. Rest assured, I won't let my friends pay so much to protect me. As for those people just now, shall we go out and assemble the fleet, and then lead them out of the hub galaxy and wipe them all out? Norton Black listened to Qin Sheng's confident speech, and he was shocked. Big brother, don't you know how many people just went out? At least 7 people. Behind each of them represents a civilization of at least 3 levels. Fleet of 7 third-level civilizations. Even if you have the strength of a third-level civilization, then we only have 2 fleets of third-level civilizations. 27. How to fight. Even if you've just exchanged a lot of good stuff, good technology, it would take at least 100 or 200 years to fully transform into its own strength. Are we going to hold on in the hub galaxy for 200 years? But Norton Black thought for a moment. Being a shrunken-headed turtle in the hub galaxy is not bad for 200 years. At least not to lose your life. The hub galaxy also has the Ring Star Superlarge Particle Collider, which Mibac built with the centrosphere. As long as you pay for it, you can use it in conjunction with the microscopic universe preliminary observation technology. Within 200 years, He Barbaran's elephant civilization had a chance of successfully advancing to the 4th level civilization. Thinking of this, Norton Black made up his mind, and he took Qin Sheng to hold back in the hub galaxy for 200 years. The hub galaxy is guarded by the order of the Mibac civilization. No one dared to do anything inside. As long as he successfully promoted the Barbaran's elephant civilization to the 4th level civilization, then basically no one dared to move Qin Sheng. Norton Black was thinking about it in his heart, and suddenly heard Qin Sheng's words, let's go out now. These people are also a curse if they stay. Just lead all the ill-intentioned people out and solve them all together. Lest the night be long and dreamy. With that, Qin Sheng walked outside. Only a sluggish Norton Black was left in place. Solved all. Big brother, you're crazy? Seeing that Qin Sheng was about to go far, Norton Black hurriedly followed up, secretly gritting his teeth. Fight. Even if he fought for this life today and died here, he would have to let Qin Sheng break through. Qin Sheng took him out of the cosmic string passage, saving the lives of him and millions of people up and down the fleet. Now, it's just about giving your life back. Done. They Barbaronian elephants, they are so gracious. Qin Sheng on this side did not know that Norton Black had already repaid his determination to die in his heart. He is busy communicating with the game system at the moment, spending technical points. Instantly mount the newly acquired microscopic particle decomposition cannon on the battleship. If you don't spend technical value, you have to install and adapt slowly, spend a lot of time. But spend enough technical value to install it without consuming time. This is also a plugin that all Star Sea gamers have. However, other players may not be like Qin Sheng, whose technical value is more than 100 million points. Did you consume 50 million technical points to install the microscopic particle decomposition pulse cannon on a Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser? Hiss. Qin Sheng inhaled cold air. It is worthy of being a weapon of the 4th level civilization. Just installing it would cost him 50 million technical points. Okay. He also has 216.8 million technical points. 4 particle decomposition pulse cannons can be installed instantaneously. 50 million technical points have been consumed and the installation is complete. 50 million technical points have been consumed and the installation is complete. 4 prompts in a row. Inside the 2 Hengkelzu-class aircraft carriers docked at port 1141, blue light flashed beneath the bow guns of the 4 Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser ships docked inside. And the place where the railgun is juxtaposed up and down. Some not very critical accessory modules disappear. There was an extra weapon that looked no different from a normal pulse weapon device. Qin Sheng believed that these 4 weapons of 4th level civilization could definitely bring him great surprises. He couldn't wait to see how powerful the weapons of the true 4th level civilization were. At the same time, in the spaceport, the huge battleship doors of the 10 Hengkelzu-class aircraft carriers docked here were opened. 6 ordinary Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruisers and 4 defensive battlecruisers equipped with particle decomposition pulse guns slowly sailed out. 10 positions were set aside. The battleship production line inside the aircraft carrier began to start. Do you consume 10,000 battleship universal manufacturing modules to make giant shield-type warships? Do you consume 10,000 battleships to make a giant shield-type warship? 10 prompts in a row. Qin Sheng's more than 120,000 battleship general manufacturing modules were instantly left with only more than 20,000. At the same time, it also consumed 1 billion tons of metal, 100 million tons of purple crystals, and 10 million tons of heavy hydrogen energy in the giant transport supply ship. The hull of a giant shield-type battleship and the giant shield in front of it can be separated. The self-weight of more than 2 million tons that Qin Sheng had seen before was actually the weight of the hull behind the giant shield battleship. Does not contain the weight of the giant shield in front. With the hull of the 10 giant shields plus the giant shield structure in front, Qin Sheng consumed 1 billion tons of metal and 100,000 battleship universal manufacturing modules. Okay, now you're ready. You can leave the hub galaxy and lure out those ill-intentioned youngsters. The corners of Qin Sheng's mouth were slightly raised, and after returning to the fleet, he issued an order for the fleet to set sail. The fleet of the Great Qin Empire began to leave port 1141 one by one. The Barbaronian Elephant Civilization's ultra-small miniature battlestar fleet followed the Great Qin Empire fleet. Just as the fleets of the two civilizations were activated, flying away from the Mibac Hub galaxy. Several small, inconspicuous fast reconnaissance ships also docked in the harbor, quickly locked in the direction in which the Great Qin Empire fleet and the Barbarians' Elephant Civilization fleet had left. Also immediately started the engine and left. Beyond the Mibac Hub galaxy, 7 fleets are distributed in space. These fleets come in all shapes. Some fleets of warships are uniformly spherical in shape. And some are like starfish, with outstanding backward edges and corners. But most are streamlined fleets of mammalians that share a common aesthetic. These 7 fleets are all from different third-level civilizations. However, these third-level civilizations all share a common characteristic. That is, privateership is the norm. Over the past 1,000 years, these 7 third-level civilizations have worked together to form a semi-united interstellar pirate organization. The Interstellar Convention Organization has a total of 7 third-level civilizations to join. Because private fights are not allowed in the Mibac Hub galaxy. All they would block outside the galaxy and rob civilizations of average strength, but good things. Over the years, together they have accumulated a lot of wealth. But none of them could be promoted to a 4th-level civilization. Ask why. It is because all the wealth they have plundered for thousands of years has been handed over to the people behind them. The 4th-level civilization, the Athosian civilization, is also known as the upper echelon of the Athos Empire, Archduke of Yalton. As a high-ranking and powerful 4th-level civilization, Grand Duke Yalton raised these 7 third-level civilizations that had plundered into nature. But because of the 6th-level civilization ban, Grand Duke Yalton would not directly give them material help. However, he would rely on the influence of his own 4th-level civilization High Level to cover up their complaints afterwards. Because in essence, the Mibac civilization was there to help the Athos Empire build the Zamori Ball. Once it's done, leave. This hub galaxy was essentially the territory of the Athos Empire. Otherwise, these 7 third-level civilizations would have already been attacked by many other third-level civilizations in the galaxy because they had offended the wrath of the people. Episode 60, The Horror of the 4th-level Civilization Weapon Microscopic Particle Decomposition Cannon. The fleet of 7 third-level civilizations is not many, there are only about a few thousand warships per civilization. But the 7 civilizations combined, there are also more than 20,000 warships. They are waiting outside the hub galaxy. They had already received intelligence from the reconnaissance ship that the target would lead the hub galaxy in this direction. So they waited here in advance. Sure enough, it was just a few days of waiting outside the hub galaxy. They found 2 fleets leaving the hub galaxy. A fleet of ships looks like it has only a few dozen warships, but the battleships are all relatively large. The other fleet was another third-level fleet. At the heart of the fleet is an ultra-small miniature battlestar spherical 30 kilometers in diameter, surrounded by thousands of warships of all sizes. Barbaronian Elephant Man? Norton Black, the Autostar Convention Organization, the leader of the Western civilization, Huanca, looked at this fleet. Of course he knew Norton Black. After all, Norton Black was one of the few people he hadn't robbed. The Barbarians' Elephant Man civilization is part of the Norton Bounty Hunters organization. The Norton Bounty Hunters organization is dominated by a 4th-level civilization. Like the Interstellar Convention organization, it is backed by a 4th-level civilization. But, unlike the decaying, self-depraved Athos Empire, the Level 4 civilization of the Norton Bounty Hunters organization was a young, ambitious Level 4 civilization. As the leader of the Interstellar Convention organization, the Ring family also judges the situation. Don't rob someone behind them. When he saw that their target was also followed by the fleet of barbarians of the Elephant civilization, he was actually a little hesitant. Do you want to do it? But after only a moment's hesitation, Huanca made up its mind. Do it. Without him. It's because the target they choose is too fat. The Holy See spent more than 20 million proofs of chaos destruction. Must have been exchanged for absolutely good stuff. Perhaps, there is also the technology of the 4th level civilization. And you don't have to worry about the other party using these technologies to improve their strength. The technology of judging the sail of the Holy See will certainly take time to digest before it can be truly transformed into the strength of civilization. Now, they have 7 civilizations, and there are only 2 civilizations opposite. One of them is only a first-class civilization. The gulf between civilizational hierarchies is enormous. He had nothing to worry about. Even afterwards, the 4th level civilization of the Norton Bounty Hunter organization got him into trouble. Don't be afraid. As long as you can get the technology of the 4th level civilization. He secretly hid again, hiding from him for hundreds of thousands of years, and finally perhaps, his own civilization was also promoted to a 4th level civilization. At that time, everyone will be a 4th level civilization, who is afraid of whom? The technology of the 4th level civilization is enough for me to take risks. Stop them. Huanca gave an order. Suddenly, in space, the fleets of 7 3rd-level civilizations began to disperse. A battle formation is formed. More than 20,000 warships. From the front of Qin Sheng's fleet, it was ready to be surrounded. The distance between each battleship is more than 1,000 kilometers. It looks like the formation is very sparse. But it occupies the whole space as densely. Space battleships are everywhere. And the Barbarians' Elephant Civilization fleet, when Norton Black saw the situation, he gritted his teeth and launched a communication to Qin Sheng. Emperor, you go first. I'll stop them, rest assured, they won't treat me like that. Norton Black was ready to die. He just fought for this life today, and he also had to help Qin Sheng leave. Qin Sheng, who was in the middle of the bridge of his fleet's flagship, heard this, and said, I think you should rest assured of me. Anvilia, pass on the order and release all the battleships. Yes, Your Majesty the Emperor. The streamer of data in Anvilia's eyes flickered. The next moment, the 10 huge Hangkelzu-class aircraft carriers sailing in space opened one after another. In the cabin, glowing blue. One after another, more than 500 meters long Wu Anjuan-class pulse heavy gun frigates began to take off inside the aircraft carrier. Like a dense swarm of released insects, it appears in space. Qin Sheng's aircraft carrier flagship was at the end. It is the chain of command of the entire fleet. 10 giant shield battleships were like huge shields, blocking the aircraft carrier. Protect Qin Sheng's own safety. One after another Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruisers drove out of the aircraft carrier. The Hanwhan-class general-purpose cruiser and the Qinhuan-class offensive cruiser add up to a total of 200 ships, which are at the forefront. The spacing between each battleship is also more than 1,000 kilometers. Seeing the battleship released by Qin Sheng's aircraft carrier, Norton Black did not feel surprised and happy. On the contrary, he felt that Qin Sheng was also ready to fight to the death. There is a lot of anxiety in the heart. He hurriedly persuaded Qin Sheng, hoping that Qin Sheng would be able to escape. But Qin Sheng's purpose was to eliminate those unscrupulous people in front of him. How did you leave? Moreover, just by looking at the level of civilization, he is a first-level civilization. The unscrupulous people on the other side are all third-level civilizations. In this way, after destroying the battleship of the opposite civilization, how rich technical points and technical rewards must he get? Opposite the 7 fleets of 3-level civilizations, each fleet has 2,000 or 3,000 warships combined to a total of more than 20,000 warships. Sprinkle all over space. A battle line of more than 1,000,000 kilometers was formed. On Qin Sheng's side, thousands of warships were fully rolled out. The length of the battle line is also more than 100,000 kilometers. Give me an attack. Take down the fleet of that first-level civilization first. The leader of the Western civilization, Huanca, roared and gave an order. On the battle line of millions of kilometers, all the warships simultaneously flew forward tens of millions of kilometers apart. Tens of thousands of warships attacked at the same time. Suddenly, all kinds of weapons began to fly forward. Thousands of incomparably hot, red-glowing plasma rays cut through space. Missiles mounted on curvature engines and faster than 5 times the speed of light lifted off. Enter a state of curvature in space, surrounded by flashing colored streamers, distorting the space ahead and attacking forward. Norton Black saw that the target of the other party was directly Qin Sheng, and he was immediately anxious. This is a curvature engine missile. Norton Black believed that Qin Sheng might not have the means to intercept it all. These thousands of curvature engine missiles are likely to directly destroy Qin Sheng's fleet and only the aircraft carriers in the rear. launch interceptor missiles, and help the Emperor stop all those missiles. The Barbarian's Elephant Man fleet immediately began firing curvature engine interceptor missiles. He hoped to help Qin Sheng's fleet intercept all those curvature engine missiles. However, Barbaron's elephant-like civilization interceptor missiles have just been launched. But suddenly, they found that those interceptor missiles suddenly turned a corner. Changing his angle, he began to fly upwards to the Autostar Convention fleet 10 million kilometers away. What's going on? Before Norton Black could react, the intelligent AI of the ultra-small miniature battlestar gave a direct answer. It turned out that the fleet of the Great Qin Empire did not know what means were used. Even intelligent AI could not be analyzed for a while. In just 1 second, thousands of curvature engine missiles flying towards the Great Qin Empire fleet all disappeared into space. Intercepted. And Barbarians like Man civilization launched missiles that helped intercept them lose their target. He began to call out the enemy on his own, so he flew towards the fleet of Yao. However, while curvature engine missiles can be intercepted, plasma pulsed rays cannot be intercepted. But Qin Sheng was also not afraid. In the middle of space, the warships of the Great Qin Empire began to raise their shields. The highly maneuverable Wu and Jun pulsed heavy gun frigates, and the Qinhuang-class offensive cruisers began to evade the enemy's plasma pulse rays. In contrast, the poorly maneuverable Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser also raised its shield. Several crimson plasma rays emitting a scorching glow cut through the space and bombarded the raised shield of a Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruiser. The light shone brightly on the surrounding space. The rays faded, and the shield's energy dropped somewhat. But there is no big problem. What? The leader of the Western civilization, Huanca, was surprised to see this. In his vision, after this round of attack, the fleet of this first-class civilization should be basically wiped out, leaving only the command ships in the rear. Then they can be slaughtered. When the time comes, they can directly attack forward. Then jump on the opposing command ship and grab what they want. But what he did not expect was that the thousands of curvature engine missiles they fired were inexplicably completely dissolved. And the plasma rays they emitted were directly blocked by the energy shield raised by the other party. How could this first-class civilization warship be equipped with an energy shield? The Ring family simply could not understand. At the same time, anger rose in his heart. A mere first-level civilization can still block 7 third-level civilizations? Keep attacking. Huge battleships roared silently through space. Laser rays, plasma shells, curvature engine missiles, flying everywhere. From this moment on, the battle escalated. Densely packed weapons burst into their own rage in space. Qin Sheng's command flagship was in front. The energy shield rising above the giant shield was also hit by the enemy many times. The strong, concussive explosion that caused the battleship to flicker through space. Andilia, report on the fleet. Qin Sheng said immediately. Your Majesty, 20% of frigates have a shield value that drops to 50%, and 70% of frigate energy shields that are still above 80%. Cruisers have a shield value of more than 70%, and battlecruisers have a shield value of more than 80%. None of our warships have been damaged, and the results of the current battle have destroyed 6 frigates and 1 cruiser of the other side, all of which were destroyed by curvature engine missiles. Qin Sheng heard the words and was in a big mood. Very well, from this point of view, even if he did not use the weapons of the 4th-level civilization, the strength of his fleet could still overwhelm the ordinary 3rd-level civilization. However, the number of battleships on the other side is still many. Judging from this battle result, even if Qin Sheng could win, he would definitely be damaged. Even if he consciously uploaded technology, Qin Sheng did not want his fleet to suffer casualties. Andilia, order the microscopic particle decomposition cannon to charge up. Let's wipe out each other's fleets in one fell swoop. The corners of Qin Sheng's mouth were slightly raised, ready to let the other party see the weapons of the 4th-level civilization. For shield-raising Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruisers were under the bow railguns. The muzzle of the gun, which looked no different from a normal laser ray cannon, began to glow slightly. The energy supply of the entire battleship began to emerge here. At the moment when the charge was ready, Qin Sheng had the idea that the energy shield values of the 4 Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruisers had dropped by 70% in an instant. Only 10% remain. Hiss. Inhaled the cold air. The energy consumption of these 4-level weapons is not generally large. Once charged, even the battleship's shield energy supply was insufficient. The AO fleet, the leader of the Western civilization, Huanca, is venting its anger in the bridge of its flagship. Damn. The other side is only a first-class civilization. So far, not only has not a single battleship been destroyed, but we have been destroyed by the other side of 7 battleships. Are the commanders of the various squadrons stupid? Huanca sat in the position of commander of the fleet and roared angrily. In the communication channel, the commanders of the various squadrons must command the fleets to fight while listening to the roar of the ring section. The mood was really depressed. And they really don't understand. Obviously, as the intelligence said, the other side is only a civilization at the level of the district. How can it be so tough? A first-class civilization? Bullshit level 1 civilization. Your family's first-level civilization is so awesome? Not only is there an energy shield, but there is even a curvature of 4 that is up to 10 times the speed of light. They already had 7 battleships destroyed by this 10-fold warp-engined missile. Since we lose money from a long distance, let's quickly break forward. After getting closer, directly use the electromagnetic armor-piercing cannon to concentrate on attacking the opponent's energy shield. As long as you can break through the opponent's energy shield, then with the basic battleship technology of the other party, which is only at the level of a small level of civilization, it's us who win. I have to say that this tactic of the ring section is quite good. In space, far away, they are attacked using ray weapons at the speed of light and curvature engine missiles that exceed the speed of light. None of these attacks could play much of a role in the energy shield, because it does not have a strong kinetic armor-piercing attack. But electromagnetic shells with powerful kinetic armor-piercing attacks flew too slowly. If the distance is too far, it can be easily intercepted. Therefore, it is only possible to break through the opponent's energy shield system by firing at the front. As for whether the process of entering the shooting will also be broken by the electromagnetic kinetic energy armor-piercing shells of the other side, this is not what Cycloco is worried about. Anyway, they are many people. Even so, in the end it will definitely be their victory. Under the command of the Ring family, the 4 third-level civilization fleets that besieged the Great Qin Empire fleet began to attack forward. Their battleships are dedicated assault engines that are activated. Swoop forward at a regular speed of 50% of the speed of light. Soon it was able to reach the fleet of the Great Qin Empire. Wait to die. Ring's eyes were filled with anger. He wanted to make this small-level civilization that brought him casualties pay a terrible price, and he swore that he would let the other side know what cruelty was. The Emperor, having confirmed, has locked the other side's command flagship. We've deciphered each other's internal communication channels. Andilia opened a pair of beautiful eyes that flashed with blue data light and looked at Qin Sheng. Very well, locked on to the 10,000 flagships. Microscopic particle decomposition cannon, fire. Order. On the surface of the 4 Hongwu Emperor-class defensive battlecruisers, a layer of energy shields covered with them shattered violently. After the energy shield shattered, the microscopic particle decomposition cannon on the bow flashed a ray of light. Then, there was no movement. Silent. Commander. They had 4 battleships whose energy shields were shattered by us. Huanca immediately received this report, and he was immediately overjoyed. Ha 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 ha, sure enough, a first-level civilization is a first-level civilization, and the energy shield is not prohibited. The 4 battleships with shattered energy shields were not small in scale. Victory is theirs. Cyclophilia was ecstatic. I have even begun to calculate how many technical rewards I can snatch from the other party to redeem from the Holy Sea of Judgment. Surely a lot. The Ring family was incredibly excited. At this moment, however, a silent gravitational wave spread. Almost all battleships were covered. The Ring is still immersed in joy. The next moment, including him, the entire 10-kilometer-long, unremarkable flagship in the battleship group, along with more than 100,000 men, instantly decomposes and dissipates. Turned into a particle.